guys, it's Mrs. C here with Cycle 2, Week 16. Let's jump into geography. So for this week, we're going to be talking about the Balkans, and we've already discussed the Balkan Peninsula a few weeks ago when we learned all the different peninsulas, so it's a great time to review those. And we also are going to have the Adriatic Sea and the Black Sea and the Carpathians and the Danube, just so many of our locations we've already learned this year. So hopefully that will help the kids just really solidify where the ones we've learned are, which countries they run through, and then help you be able to help them identify these countries. So anyway, I am going to be using the mnemonic of Great Aunt Bertha ruined her sandwich. You can use whatever you want to. That's just what came to mind. I really like Great Aunt Bertha, and then I just made up something to go after that. We are not going to be learning Hungary this week. We don't learn it until week 18, but I'm going to go ahead and introduce it because it just makes sense as you're kind of working up the Balkan Peninsula and around to Slovenia. Hungary is right there. So I'm just going to go ahead and introduce it, and then that'll give us a good point to jump off of when we get to week 18 and are learning Hungary again. So I will, again, just kind of help all of my students place these. That we have Greece, which is the tip of our peninsula that's coming down there. We have Albania, which is on the Adriatic Sea part. So Albania, Adriatic Sea, that's on that side, the A's. And then we have Bulgaria is on the Black Sea side. So we have the B's. Then we go up to Romania, and that's what those Carpathian Mountains curve right around, and the Danube runs right underneath there. So Romania has that curve around it. Then Hungary, which again, we're not truly talking about this week, but it goes right over. So we touch Romania, go to Hungary, and then we go over to Slovenia. So Slovenia is our teeny tiny country that we'll be learning between Italy and Hungary. It attaches those two. So anyway, we'll plan to introduce it that way, and we'll just talk about our Great Aunt Bertha ruining her sandwich. And if your class is pretty creative and maybe a little bit older, maybe they can come up with their own mnemonic device to remember these. If you have a younger class, maybe you want to ask them to come up with an S word instead of sandwich. What did she ruin? She could have ruined her shoes. She could have ruined her soup. So many things that she could have ruined. So you could give them an opportunity to kind of participate in that way. But also the point is not to spend a ton of time on words. It's to learn these locations. So, do with that what you will. Then we're going to move on to our Latin. I tend to do Latin right after geography because we have maps and pens and things to put away right after geography. And especially at this point for my class, since we are older and a lot of them have got these down from the first semester, I don't usually take the full 4 minutes that we're allotted in class for it just because we don't need it. When you're doing the chants, this one in particular, you're already saying it 3 times through as we go bamba spot, bamba spot, bamba spot, bamba spot. So, or you're doing it twice. First conjugation and perfect tense. So you only have to really do that like 3 times and you've almost got your 7 times in. And if you say them once, like you're done. So you really can do this 2 minutes or less, I'm saying. So I like to do this while we are cleaning up our stuff. And then if we get it all cleaned up pretty fast, then a lot of times we'll whisper it and then we get louder and kind of shout it. Again, with this one, we have bomb is our first one, which goes with our imperfect because a bomb makes things imperfect. And that's how I remember that this is imperfect tense. Then moving on to math. We are entering my favorite section of math, which is my geometry song that I have used forever, however many years I've been doing CC, which is a lot. And so I will say that with this song that when you get to the latter weeks, I think this takes us through week 20, it does not say 3.14 for pi. Originally, when I learned this song before they kind of changed everything in the guide, we didn't have to say 3.14, so we didn't need it in the song. So I just have the kids yell pi equals 3.14 at the end. And that's how I've adjusted for that. So I will sing the song for you. I will try to link a more official video down below in the description, just so you can hear it with someone who can sing and has music, and there's visuals if you would like to use it at home. So it goes, the area of a rectangle equals length times width. The area of a square equals length of the side squared, S squared. The area of a triangle equals 1/2 base times height. The area of a circle equals pi times the radius squared. The circumference of a circle equals 2 times pi times the radius. So that's the song that I've learned, and it has stuck in my head. I sing it in my head when we're doing geometry in our math and in our own schooling. So I just love it, and it's simple. It's pretty easy. It doesn't add anything too complicated. It's exactly what we have in the guide, so it's my favorite. Again, and I just have the kids yell pi equals 3.14 at the end. So that's what we do. So for this week, we'll have the area of a rectangle equals length times width, and that's kind of the hand motion that I do for it. And we'll just sing that a couple times. I'll probably start singing all the way through the song. So for those students who aren't familiar with it yet, they can get familiar with the tune. But that's what we will be doing for math. For science, so science, English, and history this week, they all could lend themselves very easily to hand motions. So if you have a class that likes a lot of hand motions or that does really well with those, this week will be your favorite because these all three work really well with hand motions. I want to give you more ideas than just hand motions, and I like to show my parents other ideas than just hand motions. So for science, I am going to bring fidget spinners in for my class. This one is not in the best shape, but it was the only one I could find laying around here. So we're going to start with our fidget spinners not moving. I mean, yeah, right. Who hands out fidget spinners and expects them to not be moving? I don't really, but ideally, in my ideal world, the fidget spinners will not be moving. And we will say, what is Newton's first law of motion? Newton's first law of motion states that an object at rest tends to remain at rest. And an object in motion, and then I will let them put their fidget spinners in motion, tends to continue moving in a straight line at a constant speed unless acted upon by an outside force. And we'll kind of slam our hands down on them and stop them being the outside force. We'll just say it through a few times, and then we might set our fidget spinners down, set them to spin, and see if we can say the whole thing before the fidget spinner stops spinning. If you would like to use hand motions, the ones I've used in the past are, what is Newton's first law of motion? Newton's first law of motion states, an object at rest tends to remain at rest. And an object in motion tends to remain in motion I always want to say remain in motion. That's not what it is. Tends to continue moving at, good gracious, tends to continue moving in a straight line at a constant speed unless acted upon. This is why I should not teach people anything. I can't talk. Okay, let's start over with this one. All right. What is Newton's first law of motion? Newton's first law of motion states that an object at rest tends to remain at rest, and an object in motion tends to continue moving at a straight line, in a straight line, at a constant speed, unless an outside force acts upon it. Wow. Okay, I'm gonna try to get off the struggle bus before we get to this week so that I can do science. And that's why I won't be doing hand motions for science this week. Anyway, hopefully you got those. But those are the hand motions that I have used before, and they generally work when you can remember the entire science sentence. So there you are. We're going to move on to English now. So for English, I will be using hand motions for this week. I guess hand motions, actions, because it's a verb. And a verb is an action word, so we need to do some actions. So we have a verb is a word that asserts an action. So we'll do kind of like karate something. Shows a state of being, links two words together. So you can link your hands kind of, I'm just kind of grabbing them like this and linking them together, links two words together. Or if you want, you can have your students link arms together, links two words together, or helps another verb. And then we'll just kind of shake our hands. We can turn to a student next to us and shake hands with them. Thank you for helping us. So we have a verb is a word that asserts an action, shows a state of being, links two words together, or helps another verb. So that's what we will be doing for English. For history, I found these little thingies. I don't know what they're called, but you know, they're like the little sentence strips that you can get. You can get them at the dollar store, and I just happened to have some laying around, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna use those. But you could use note cards, strips of paper. It doesn't have to be fancy. I just happen to have those laying around. So I wrote out sections of the sentence on there. I'll mix them up, let them put them in order, because this is a pretty chunky sentence to learn. If they do really well at that, then I may bring in, where'd my little hands go? Here they are. I might bring in my little teeny hands and let them use these and try to put these sentences in the correct order, just because they're fun to try and use. They look like these, and they go on your fingers, and they're wonderfully creepy. But you can take them, and then they can grab them and move them around and put them in order. I may also try, it just kind of depends, pairing the girls and the boys up and letting them put them in order, with one person putting their hands like this, and then the other person sticking their hands through those holes where their arms create, and one person being the arms and the other person being the eyes, and trying to get them in order if we have enough time. It just kind of depend. This week, I think for the most part, we'll go fairly quickly, so we may have a little extra time that we can devote to doing something a little more fun with history. We'll just kind of have to see. But I'll probably bring the hands and then have that idea in my back pocket if we have extra time. But that brings us to timeline. I realized in the last few videos, I didn't really give you specific ideas on how to do timeline. If you are interested in those, I do have a video specifically about timeline and some of my favorite things to do. For these videos, I just try to concentrate on the hand motion so that you can get all that information down, and then you can decide how you want to do that. I usually save timeline for last, because my students have all been in CC for multiple years. The timeline is very familiar with them. We do timeline. It's just, it can be a good place for me to kind of compress and condense if I need to stay on time a little bit more. So this week we have the Age of Industry. So we're gonna take our hands and kind of interlink them like the gears, and we're just gonna kind of wiggle them back and forth for the Age of Industry. And then we have James. We're gonna put our pinky finger up in the air and swoop it and make the shape of a J. James, and then a C for cook. Sails, just like we did for Columbus, we have 3 fingers, and it's gonna sit on a flat hand, and we're gonna kind of move like a ship sailing the ocean. Sails to Australia and Antarctica. So we're gonna do our A here, and then Antarctica's down here, okay? So James Cook sails to Australia and Antarctica. Then we have American Revolution and General George Washington. So we're doing a weird sign for revolution, because really it should be the sign for change, because that's what was happening. But we're actually going to do the sign for like revolution, as in the earth going around the sun. So you're going to have your 2 R's again, but they're going to now kind of point at each other. And this top one's going to go like this around the other one. So American Revolution. And then General George Washington, we're going to make, this is a G, and we're going to make that, and we're going to go right here. And that is to show the medals that a general would be wearing on their uniform. Then we have Madison's Constitution. So just like when we did Babylon, we did this for the law. We're going to do that, but with the C for our Constitution. So Madison's Constitution and the Bill of Rights, we're going to go like this for rights. I don't remember why that's rights, but that is the motion. So the Bill of Rights. And then we have the French Revolution. So we're going to make an F, which looks like the OK sign, and just kind of flick it like this. She might turn it like this. Anyway, I don't think it really matters. You're just kind of being fancy F. So the French, and we're going to do the same sign for revolution. Then we have the Second Great Awakening, just like we did for the first. So Second Great Awakening. And then the Louisiana Purchase, you're going to have a flat hand in your other hand like you're holding money and you're passing out money. So Louisiana Purchase, because we're handing money to buy something. And the Lewis and Clark Expedition, because we found things. So we're going to point off. So we're looking around, and look what we found over there. So Age of Industry. We're going to interlock those fingers like a gear going back and forth. We have James Cook sails to Australia and Antarctica. Then we have American Revolution and General George Washington. Madison's Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Then we have the French Revolution, the Second Great Awakening. I close my eyes for that. There we go. Awakening. Louisiana Purchase and the Lewis and Clark Expedition. So that's what we have done on this week. I think that's everything. All right. Well, I hope you guys have an awesome week. We only have 2 more weeks in this quarter, which is crazy. Hopefully it's going fast. Hopefully weather's good. Everybody's healthy where you are. And I will see you back with week 17 soon. Bye.